Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, everyone, based on your time zone. Welcome in Salesforce EpexR. And my name is Amit Chaudhary. I'm the founder of the EpexR. And today we are going to talk about Salesforce SalesCloud Einstein forecasting. And we have a two special guests. One is Sharon from the Salesforce team, and another one is the David. So let me hand over Sharon for her introduction.
All right. Thank you, Amit. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. I'm glad to be part of the Epex Hours podcast. Amit, you're a great MVP of Salesforce, and I think you are doing an amazing job. And today with me, I got Dave from Atrium. And we are going to talk a little bit about how to leverage your forecasting capabilities. So my name is Sharon Gorlovetsky, and I'm a product manager at the SalesCloud Einstein team. I am based in Tel Aviv. And Dave Dixon is director of the analytics group at Atrium. Atrium are wonderful partner of Salesforce. They are actually a platinum partner. And I will take you through the journey of SalesCloud Einstein, where Dave will be more focused on discovery experience. So with that, I would love to start. So for today's agenda, I'm going to give you a quick introduction about SalesCloud Einstein. Then we're going to talk more about how we think you can leverage your forecasting with Einstein forecasting, about what we think is best for your type of company business needs. Then I'm going to take you a little bit down the scenes. I will show you some of the data science part, and I will show you the demo of Einstein forecasting, how it looks like live. And from that, I will hand it over to Dave. He will give you a great introduction about Atrium and all the work that they are doing, and he will take you through the intelligent experience with Einstein Discovery, of course, on Lightning. Lastly, we will share with you some few AI assets that we think are great, and we will take some Q&A. So yeah, let's start. So before I can talk about anything, I know a lot of you guys are admins or developers. You probably attended Dreamforce, so you know that slide. So please don't base any of your decisions to purchase anything based on features that are not yet developed, based on products that are not yet GA. All of the capabilities that I'm going to show you today are live, but please make sure to check on the Salesforce release documentation what is GA before you decide to purchase anything. So basically, what is Salesforce Einstein? We know that Einstein is really a broadly used term in Salesforce, because basically how we see it, Einstein stands for everything that is AI related in our CRM. With Einstein, we're taking the world, first CRM, and we're making it the world's smartest CRM. It basically all starts with data, the data that the customer has been inserted into the CRM since day one. Then our Einstein models are taking that data and then create a predictive model just for your org. But we know it's a little bit confusing because we have more than one type of Einstein products. So let me just kind of give you the complete spectrum of AI for every user. So we offer to customers three main types of AI. The first ones are our out-of-the-box AI solutions, like Einstein for Sales. These are the features that we are basically going to talk about today. I'm going to be emphasizing that, and we're going to do deep dive into that, because this is our turnkey AI solutions, where we feel it's super easy to just enable them. They don't need any configuration. You turn it on and you get a model. But we also offer our point-click AI solutions for admins, and I know that we have admins on this podcast, so Dave will take you through the journey of the point-click AI solution like Einstein Discovery. And he will share some pretty cool use cases that he's been building with by using Discovery. Both the Einstein for Sales features and Einstein Discovery can help you leverage your forecasting capabilities. It's basically related to the use case and what is your business needs. There's no one wrong or right answer. It's really depend on the use case and when do you need to use what. And lastly, we have the AI for developers. I know this podcast also serves many developers, and Amit is going to do some pretty cool podcasts in the futures that are more relevant for developers. We are not going to be focused on the AI for developers features like Einstein Vision or Einstein Language, but it's also something that you guys should know. These are the features that we basically have. So what are the SalesCloud Einstein features? With SalesCloud Einstein, we really feel that the sales process has never been more intelligent. Sales reps with our scoring products like lead scoring and opportunity scoring can eliminate time that they waste on poor deals and opportunities, and to be much more focused on getting productivity out of every minute. And for execs and sales leaders, we basically offer much better outlook on the status. And we give them guidance on where to drill and where to provide coaching to their reps. And lastly, for sales operation team, we really offer easy way to scale up all the key operational reports and dashboards just for everyone can make better decisions. And with predictive forecasting that I'm going to do a drill down into today with Einstein predictive forecasting, we really give leaders the tools on how to improve their forecast accuracy and how they can make modifications and changes during the forecasting period to improve the sales processes. So we have something for everyone. SalesCloud Einstein features are giving you the end-to-end solution from lead to cash. So what is Einstein forecasting? Basically, Einstein forecasting is a tool that allows you to do, allows your sales leader to do their predictive forecasts on automated way by integrating machine learning capabilities and AI capabilities. We help companies and businesses to increase their forecast accuracy. We're not doing it on a manual way. We're doing it by integrating data science capabilities. We also give you insights about the forecast factors. We don't just give you a forecast number because we know it's not enough for our customers. We also help you to basically understand that prediction and where it is coming from and what are we basing our numbers. And lastly, we give you the opportunity to forecast from anywhere. It's not, a manual process where you write something on a board or on a notebook. You can access Einstein forecasting from your mobile or from anywhere you're at. So I think it's really great that we have developers in the audience today, because I wanted to share with you something that we don't normally able to share over release documentations and on regular demo. I wanted to kind of explain to you how Einstein forecasting is working behind the scenes. So basically, Einstein forecasting is analyzing all the fields in the opportunity object. We don't just look at the data that is stored in those fields, but we also look on, how the record has changed over time. And we try to kind of learn which record changes will be more correlated into the opportunities that are closed won or closed lost. And we want to understand what indicates a closed won opportunity and what's not. So we basically look at all the engagement that a salesperson is doing with each forecasted opportunity. And then we kind of evaluate whether that opportunity is being engaged enough. And we consider for each sales rep and their unique attributes, what are their patterns? Because we don't just learn about the individual rep, but we also learn about the team itself. So with Einstein forecasting, we basically have two approaches to our models. We have the top-down approach versus the bottom-up models. Our kind of pure top-down approaches basically rely on the historical trends of the revenue, and they do not take into consideration the individual opportunities in the pipeline. For example, for top-down model, for those of you who are interested in data science, is the linear regression model. Then we have our bottom-up models. These are the opportunity level models, where we basically estimate the win probabilities for every opportunity in the pipeline. We use those probabilities to kind of predict the end of the period revenue. But there's also few things that needs to be considered when you use the bottom-up models. For example, opportunities that are not yet in the pipeline, we don't take them into consideration. So it's really important not just to use the bottom-up models approach, but to combine the top-down and the bottom-up. So for example, of a type of model that we use for bottom-up will be the XGBoost. So let me show you how Einstein forecasting looks like live, because I think it's way more interesting than just showing you guys a slide. So I am now logged into my SalesCloud instance as Scott. Scott is a sales leader in his company. And the first thing that I'm going to check out will be the Einstein forecasting quarterly view. Starting from winter 20th release, we support monthly forecasting and quarterly forecasting, because a lot of our customers do their forecasting on a quarter basis and not just on a monthly basis. So we want to support both. So by logging into that instance and opening the trend line, I can really get a quick look into the health of my business. With just few seconds of looking at what's going on, Scott can understand that by the end of the period, he and his team are not going to reach their quota. They will be, they are going to experience a gap of almost $2 million in their quota. But that's a great view to understand when you are, in the middle of the period of time or in the middle of the month. But we don't just give you that. We kind of show Scott how is the trend working for his team. The team starts the first month, a little bit weak. They don't sell so much, but then they kind of continue and sell more and more towards the end of the month or the quarter, which is something we know. It's, it's process that it's not something that is not familiar within a sales process. But a great view that Scott can get from that is that he can basically understand where the team is going to stand on each, point of the time. But we know it's not enough to give, customers just a number. So this is why we give more detailed view of the actual forecast. So by clicking on collaborative forecasting tab and then clicking again on the Einstein prediction, we explain our customers that within 10% range, this will be the best case and the worst case of our prediction. But that is not enough as well for leaders, because they cannot just go to the managers that they roll out to and they report to and to say, we're not going to hit the quota. They got to explain why. And we need to explain our customers our breakdown. So if you scroll down from the range of Einstein forecasting, you can see the actual breakdown. And we explain it. Some of the buckets are pretty straightforward. Others are more complex. And I'm going to go over with you one by one. So the first bucket that we offer to customers are obviously the closed won opportunities. This is something that is super easy to understand. This is the opportunity that the team already won and closed them. Then we have the wins from existing deals opportunities bucket. This is the team wins from the current pipeline. And if I were, a sales leader, I would expect that bucket to be pretty big, even bigger than the rest, because I want to know that my team is able to create a strong pipeline. Then we have a super interesting bucket that is, that's an edge capability of Einstein forecasting that you cannot get from a manual forecast. This is something that we learn from the history of you and your team. This is the pulled in deals bucket. And when we speak about the pulled in bucket, we are talking about opportunities that are not yet that are not in the pipeline for this period, but we expect it to be closed won. This is not something that a manual forecast can do for you. It's only by training models that are able to look at you and your team history, we are able to detect that trend of what will be the expected amount to be pulled into this period of time. Because our world is a world of data, and once we have enough data to kind of understand the way you and your team works, we're able to detect those type of things. So this is a really great capability of Einstein forecasting. And then we have the wins from new deals, a pretty straightforward bucket as well, but also a great capability that we learn from the history is that we already know that there is some type of average amount that you and your team are going to close from completely new deals, meaning deals that are not in the pipeline. And all of that kind of gave us the total prediction of 28 million. But we also know that is not enough for sales leaders. Again, it's great to have the numbers, but you need to explain them. This is why we train completely different models for our top factors, negative and positive reasons. Example for top factors will be that you and your team won more deals than the same day last Q. Again, as I said, we check the history that you've been inserting to the opportunity object since day one in your CRM. And then we learn a lot of trends. We learn a lot of patterns about you and your team. So now we know that in the same day last month, your team was not as strong. This is why we increase our prediction. But we can also offer, negative factors. For example, your team now has lower amount in their pipeline. The last Q or last month had a stronger pipeline with more opportunities that have been closed won. And this is why we, remove certain elements from the prediction. Another great capability that sales leaders can get when they view the forecast tab is that they can understand about the people that the sales leaders that reports to them. What is the patterns of those leaders? For example, we can see whether we have, managers that tend to overperform and undercommit, because we know all of that from the history, and we know that we have sales leaders that usually prefer to commit to less, but Einstein forecasting is already able to detect those trends and what is, the average increasement in the actual versus committed. And we give you a prediction that sometimes highlights, sales processes that I think for managers is something that is worth to check and to drill down to. So we don't just give you, prediction. It's not the main use case for Einstein forecasting. We give you a capability to better plan and to improve the forecasting accuracy. And that could be a really strong game changer into the year-over-year growth measurements, into the, ROI measurements, because when you manage the forecasting correctly, you're able to really change the profits for your company. So this is basically how Einstein forecasting looks like. And I know that we have some admins in the audience. So I also wanted to show you that, we are talking about turnkey AI solutions. So if you want to enable Einstein forecasting, it's as simple as it gets. You just go to setup, of course, once you have the license. And for me, it's now, I only have the option to disable because the enable is the option that I already picked, but it's super, super easy. It really is turnkey AI solution. We don't require any customization from you. And we also added another tool for admins within Einstein forecasting, which is the segmentation feature. We basically let you to tell Einstein what data to consider. So if you want to help, improve the model accuracy or tell us which opportunities should be scored in a single group, for example, to a common use case will be the new deals versus the renewal deals, then you can share that information with us and to improve the actual forecast accuracy. So it really is a turnkey AI solutions that are, super easy to enable. I'm gonna go back to my deck now and just, this is the main takeaway from Einstein forecasting. It's super easy to enable. We give you the prediction range within the product. We actually explain to you why we came up with that prediction. And we integrate machine learning capabilities into your business. So later on in the deck, I will share with you some cool AI assets that we think could be interesting for you. But as for now, I'm gonna hand it over to Dave that will take you through the journey of Einstein Discovery, another amazing intelligent experience that you can do within Salesforce.
All right, perfect. Thank you, Sharon, and thank you, Amit, for having me. And so just a quick introduction. I'm Dave Dixon. I'm the Practice Director of Analytics for Atrium AI. We'll talk a little bit more about what that means in a second, but I'm super excited to be here today to be on the podcast talking about Einstein forecasting and sort of what that means within the context of the intelligent experience and why you should care. So we've got some cool stuff that we're going to walk through today. So first, we're going to talk a little bit about how you can transform your forecasts through the intelligent experience and sort of what that looks like with Einstein. I'm going to do a quick overview of Atrium. We won't spend too much time on that, just sort of what we're doing and sort of our perspective or point of view on how we approach projects and creating sort of data-driven outcomes. We're also going to talk a little bit about what the intelligent forecast can look like outside of sort of the out-of-the-box solutions, right? So what are some of the other tools that we could bring to bear there and why we want to use them? And then I'm going to spend probably the bulk of the time walking through a demo where we're combining really the power of Einstein Analytics Plus, the discovery component of Einstein Analytics Plus, and the Lightning Event Framework to really sort of deliver the intelligent experience there. So that being said, let's dive right in. So just a quick note about Atrium, some of our background. Atrium, we are a platinum partner of Salesforce, and we do things a little bit different than maybe traditional SIs. So we're really after the data-driven experience and focusing on creating intelligent experience and big outcomes for our customers through intelligent experience. We're going to talk about what intelligent experience means here in just a second. But the core of the idea is using data, right? Using data as an asset to create solutions that leverage AI, analytics, and actionable insights, and place that within the flow of where people are working in Salesforce. So it's not just about standalone analytics solutions or standalone predictions, but really about enabling those insights within the flow of people, where people are working, right, in core Salesforce. So we leverage a whole array of the Salesforce stack in order to accomplish that. So we work in Sales Cloud and Service Cloud and Marketing Cloud, CPQ. Obviously, we work with Einstein Analytics and Discovery and Lightning, as well as the other Einstein components as well, which we won't spend too much time on today. And we do things like strategy and analysis, solution design, model buildings, integration, really sort of all the steps you'd expect in terms of strategy to solution design to implementation and support. So enough about Atrium and myself. Let's dive right in here. So intelligent experience, when we talk about the intelligent experience, what do we mean, right? So when we look at the intelligent experience, there's some major components. And one of those is that we're trying to shift the business from being reactive to being more predictive and prescriptive, right? So looking in the rearview mirror is useful to understand what's happened, but even better if we can understand what we think is going to happen or going to occur if we don't take actions, and then suggest actions related to that, right? It's about placing that intelligence in the flow of the business process as well. So you don't want people having to swivel chair between apps, basically to figure out, hey, based on analysis, what should I do? And then swivel back around and then to do something. We can embed that intelligence right within the flow of business. You've already seen some of that in the demo that Sharon was showing today, and how sort of the analytics and the predictions come together, under a single pane of glass within the Salesforce framework. And we want to make sure that the insights, right, when we discover, make a discovery, that we say, there's something that we should do, that we're able to take action on that directly. And in this case, we're going to talk about how we can use actions that we could take to improve our forecast accuracy or make a deal more likely to close, right? And to manage our overall pipeline health. So it's really that sort of bringing all those elements together. The insights from predictions and analytics, the business context in terms of where we're working day to day within Salesforce, and the actions all coming together in unison. And that's really what defines the intelligent experience. So let's talk about what the intelligent experience looks like in forecasting, right? Like, why would we care? Why do we even need this? There's a lot of issues we see when we talk with folks out in industry and out in their businesses around their forecasting. Things that people want to avoid, right? So surprises. So something coming up, something happening in your business, something changing in your business, and you're finding out about it after the fact when it's too late to action on or to do anything about, right? Outdated data can be a real issue as well. A lot of organizations, even organizations that use Salesforce, often still compile forecasts manually. So maybe they're not using collaborative forecasting even. They're, have processes where they're pulling together from Salesforce, maybe from core systems, aggregating all that, double checking with users, rolling all that up. And by the time they're done, the data's stale, right? It's not real time or even close to real time. And because of this, right, because of these manual processes, because they're getting the data from multiple places, and there's a lot of human touch, that data may not be actionable either, right? So they may look at a number and say, okay, that's not what I want that number to be, but what can I do about it, right? How do I move the marker? How do I drive us towards winning more deals and closing more business? Another huge thing in forecasting is field accountability, right? So when you have the right tools in place and the right processes in place, you can hold your field accountable for the numbers they're posting up, for what they're saying they're going to do, and you have visibility into when they miss and what happened, and you can have those conversations, and it creates a feedback loop that creates a virtuous cycle in terms of making sure that the field, the reps, those out that are actually entering the core data for the forecast, that they're accountable and that there's visibility into what they're doing. Another issue that we see, especially with businesses that have run rate business, or maybe where deals are coming in through a distributor channel and we're not actually capturing those opportunities in Salesforce, is that big segments of a business's deal flow could be coming in a place outside of Salesforce where there's no opportunity. So maybe a distributor's placing orders directly, that gets logged in SAP, but it never comes into Salesforce. And you lose that visibility into your forecast and how it's going to impact your forecast. So we'll talk about that a little bit. And then, as I was mentioning before, right? So, that outdated data because of the manual processes. Well, also, there's just the concern around the spend of all the labor and the effort related to pulling forecasts together, and how many people have to be involved and how many hours get spent on that, when those hours could be spent on higher value things. So if some of these resonate with you, the good news is you're not alone. There was an article that Forbes put out just a little over a year ago and almost 2/3 of all business-to-business companies, regardless of their size, felt like their forecasting efforts weren't effective. And in that same article, Forbes found that those companies that could predict their forecast more accurately and had the process and technologies in place to do that, that they were more likely to grow their revenue. So there's a direct connection into the ability to forecast and the ability to manage your company, right? So that's why we want to have these intelligent forecasts. So we've got a lot of options. The great thing about Salesforce is they recognize that businesses aren't all the same, and that the architecture and the systems of those businesses aren't all the same. And so they don't give you one size fits all solution. They give you lots of options, right? So, there's the classic collaborative forecasting, which is great at providing deal level accountability, some basic dashboarding and analytics. It's very fast to deploy. But there's some challenges with that, right? So you're not going to be able to pull in your external data, maybe your distributor data. You really don't have visibility to your run rate data. So if you have a run rate business, there's some things you can do there in terms of creating opportunities to represent run rate business. But that in and of itself is manual and takes time and effort usually. And you don't have the deep analytics, even though you get the standard Salesforce dashboarding capability, that ability to slice and dice, to drill in that you get from sort of the Einstein stack is not there. But it's still useful, still good, and simple and fast to deploy, right? And then we have Einstein for Sales, which Sharon was walking us through a little bit earlier. A definite step up, so you get all those benefits that you'd get with collaborative forecasting. You get that opportunity level scoring. So down at the deal level, you can see the likelihood of an opportunity to close. And it's out of the box. So it's not a heavy lift to turn on. Still have some challenges around the external data, although there's some things you could do there, right? So we could, if we have external data that would help the forecast, we could integrate that into Salesforce, create opportunities or potentially populate fields on opportunities that would be used by the forecasting. So there's some workarounds there, but out of the box, you're not getting that external data in there, and it doesn't out of the box sort of do the run rate predictions as well. From a modeling perspective, you're a little more restricted in terms of how you can customize the models and refine the models, so it's more black box. Whereas with Einstein Discovery, which I'm going to talk about here in a second, in the Einstein Analytics Plus world, you have the ability to do more customization and to sort of get your hands dirty and tinker with the model a little bit. So, and that brings us to what I'm going to demo and walk you through today, which are forecasting solutions that leverage Einstein Analytics Plus and specifically the Einstein Discovery capability within that product. The great thing about these solutions is that you can bring in that external data. So you can also point the model to historical data sources. So if you have data that's deeper than what you had in Salesforce, you can actually train the model off of that. And you can do things like predict pipeline that's not yet been created, and tailor your predictions as well. You don't have to even technically have the Salesforce forecasting model, although more often than not, that's the space with which we're working. Most people are using Salesforce forecasting, at least the core collaborative forecasting components. And you also get that enterprise-wide visibility. The cons are this can be a heavier lift, right? So often as we construct these models, what we'll find is where we're spending a lot of time is in the data shaping and taking data and creating the inputs that are useful to the models. I'll give you a perfect example. Everybody has dates in their systems, right? We have created dates, we have closed dates, we have the dates which things went into certain stages, and those dates are great, but in and of themselves, logistic and linear regression modeling systems like Einstein Discovery, they can't really use those dates sort of just raw like that. What's more useful is the amount of time that's elapsed between those milestones. So a standard thing we do on most of our projects would be to basically transform those dates into input variables that represent the amount of elapsed time. So how many days did we spend in this stage? How many days from create to qualified? Those types of things. And we often find that the velocity with which deals are moving through systems and the amount of days that are elapsed in each stage, those can be really important signals to the model from a prediction perspective. So a little heavier lift, but a lot of flexibility and power. So we're going to walk you through what that looks like. All right, so what are the components? When we talk about an intelligence experience and intelligent sales forecast, what are our expectations, right? So we'd expect the data is going to be timely, right, to address some of those issues with outdated data that we talked about earlier. We expect it's going to be actionable because that is a key component to really the intelligent experience, is being able to do something, to take action on your findings. We expect we're going to be able to have field level accountability and deal level granularity, right? So that we can see the opportunities, what's happening to them, and we can have those conversations with the field reps. And of course, we want it to be automated. And ultimately, we're doing all of this to improve our win rate. And we also want to improve the adoption and the use of the tool, right? So get folks in there, getting them entering the deal information. As you know, sales, we like to say sales folks are coin operated, right? What's in it for me? So, when you put these tools in place and you can deliver value to the sales team by helping them understand what they need to focus on or what action they need to take, then they'll use the tool more. And it becomes a virtuous cycle, a self-reinforcing engine, really, of your team keeping the information up to date, putting that information in, which produces better models, better predictions, and it just reinforces itself. So some other things from an intelligent forecast: the ability to handle things like run rate and information that's outside of Salesforce, and pull in those sort of indirect channels or those run rate channels, and improve the objectivity, right? So a lot of times you get in a forecasting conversation and folks are really, everybody's got a story in terms of why things are, but in a data-driven culture, a data-driven solutions, we have facts that we can look at that really reveal sort of, the ultimate status of the story. So enough about all of that. Let's talk about what this would look like if we actually built it, right? So I'm going to show you an example of a solution that we built in one of our demo environments. And what I'm going to walk you through is how we're able to use Einstein Analytics, Lightning and the Lightning Event Framework, and Einstein Discovery all together to bring an intelligent experience in that intelligent forecasting solution. So let's go have a look. All right. So this is my demo org that I've got set up here, and this is our opportunity pipeline page. So imagine, if you will, you're coming in and you're a director of sales. You've got RVPs that report to you, and they have team members on their team as well, and you're trying to understand, are you going to make your quota, right? So we've got a few things going on here. Up here, we've got an Einstein Analytics dashboard, and that dashboard is based on the opportunity data that's in Salesforce, but also it incorporates elements from the Einstein Discovery model. So we have created a propensity model in this scenario, where we're scoring opportunities and their likelihood to close. And in addition to that, we've created a data set in Einstein Analytics that has the factors related to whether or not what's driving a deal to close or make it less likely to close. So we have not only visibility into the likeliness of the close, but why is that the case, right? And so when we come in here and we take a look at this dashboard, we see our closed one right up at top. We see our quota, our Einstein weighted, and our field forecast as well. So I'm filtered for just the US region in this scenario, but obviously I could change and look for other regions. Coming over here, we see sort of the aggregated view by our RVP of what Einstein is saying they're going to do based on a weighted pipe, and what the field is saying that they're going to do based on a weighted pipe. And so for those of you that are not familiar, weighted pipe is basically you take the probability of a deal to close times its amount. And when you do that in aggregate over a large amount of deals, you come up with an estimate, a forecast, right? So this is a weighted pipe forecast here. And so we can see right off the top here, right? Like in Julie's world, it looks like she's got about 51 million is what the field is thinking they're going to do. And Einstein is telling us a little bit different story. So let's drill into that. So I'm going to click on Julie here. And we see a few things just happen, right? So our dashboard faceted over here on the left. So that's just native analytics capability. But we also see that our opportunity list view down here was updated for Julie. And the reason that opportunity list was updated is because we've done some work within the Lightning event framework. So when I clicked on Julie Chavez, I created a Lightning event. And it's a selection changed event. We're able to take and handle that selection changed event and update our Lightning component down here that has the opportunity list view, right? And so we've got interactivity across the analytics that are incorporating predictions and Lightning as well. So we're using all three of those components. But let's keep peeling the onion back on our story and see what's going on. So I clicked on Julie. I see the folks that are reporting to Julie. And Laura Garza right here. So Laura's got 19 million. And Einstein's saying, nah, it's more like 9.6. So I really want to understand what's going on with that. So I'm going to click on this. And again, we see that our opportunity list view updated because we had a selection change event we captured. And we also see that these top positive contributors and negative contributors that come out of Einstein Discovery, that we've parsed those and made it so that we can see what are the things that are driving this, right? So in Laura's case, things that are helping her out are the fact that she's got some deals where the partner is Arrow. Most of her deals, the past due, aren't past due. And she's having her executive meetings like she should be. But if we look down things at the negative contributors, she's got some, 6 deals where the business case is not even completed, or she hasn't had an executive meeting, right? So these are drivers, inputs into the model that it's taking into consideration that it uses to give those opportunities scores and tell us the likelihood of an opportunity to close. But let's look at this at an opportunity level for Laura. So I'm going to just click here my little expander, and now I actually am seeing the opportunities for Laura, right? So right up here at the top, I see this RAM Core Enterprise Refresh, laptops and tablets. So the field is feeling pretty bullish on this, 4.8 million weighted pipe, and Einstein is less convinced. So let's drill in. So I'm going to click on a specific opportunity. And now we see some more things happen, right? We've now filtered our opportunity list view down here to the specific opportunity. And if we scroll further down on our page, we can actually see the details of that opportunity record and the Einstein Insights card. So this is our Einstein Discovery probability. So Einstein's given this such a low weighted pipe value because it's only 29.8% likely to close. And we see that the things that are driving that are, we've not had an executive meeting. There's a commit without quote. So that means it's in commit status, but she hasn't done a quote. That's a little weird. And then currently escalated case is true as well. So let's go take a look at that and see what's going on there. So I'm going to just click on this. I'm clicking here in this Lightning view because it's easy to do. But I just wanted to point out that I could just as easily navigate into it or take action from the analytics page as well, right? So I can open the record, post, I can schedule a deal review. That's a custom action that we've created. But let's go in and take a look at the record here. So I click in, I'm leaving my overall pipeline view, and now I've navigated into a specific opportunity record. And we continue the intelligent experience into this page as well. So we've embedded some Einstein analytics. So our average sales cycle, what our win rate is for this customer, the open opportunities, the open cases, and I can see my escalated case here. Obviously, from here, I could do all kinds of things, right? So I could chatter out. I can create some activity. I could schedule a deal review. But I have the capability to do all of that within the same interface, within the same place where I'm working, right? And within the flow of my business. And that's really what we're trying to achieve with Einstein. When we say we're delivering an intelligent experience, that's really what we're trying to achieve by combining Einstein analytics and discovery, as well as the Lightning framework. So that's kind of the demo piece. Just a couple more thoughts to close us out here, and then I'll hand it back over to Sharon. when you think about why you'd want to do this, right? I mean, ultimately, we want to win more business and we want to manage our business better. So improving your forecast visibility is a key to that. You know, if you can take action proactively by having those predictions and understanding what's driving those predictions, you can improve your conversion rate. And that's true for opportunities and forecasting, what we're talking about right here. But it's also true for other use cases like lead conversion and managing sort of the first part of your funnel or your pipeline. It enables us to drive customer outcomes, which is what we're really all about, and to drive, to move the needle, right? So when we think about why we do any of this work in intelligence, what we're ultimately trying to achieve is to make the business more effective and to make the business more profitable. And of course, part of that is improving the adoption of Salesforce and the Salesforce use case. As we give reps and managers these tools, the Salesforce use and adoption improves, which then reinforces the analytics and the models, and it becomes a virtuous cycle. And finally, getting this visibility into what's driving our deals and what's moving the needle helps us to start those conversations around being a data-driven culture, right? And helps us to focus on what's the data telling us instead of just who's the loudest voice in the room or who's the most persuasive person on the call, right? So how do you get started with this? At Atrium, we usually start this off with workshops, and we'll really start with conversations around the personas and what they're trying to achieve within their roles in the organizations and with what sort of challenges they're facing, and really understand what they're doing from a business process perspective and a business driver perspective. With that as well, we spend some time identifying your KPIs, your core metrics, and your benchmarks, right? In terms of how you measure those metrics, to make sure we understand that, so that as we do our solutioning, we can provide a system that is capturing the most important things, the most actionable things. We'll do ideation around question storming and talk about predictions and how we could change the business. And then we make sure that we're aligned in terms of what needs to be addressed first, and what that would look like in terms of sort of the business technology handshake. We also spend time exploring the data and sort of their, are they fit for purpose, and what we can do to make them more fit for purpose in terms of data hygiene, and both one time and going forward. And then we come up with a journey map or a strategy around what we're going to deliver and where we would start that program. So the workshop is really usually how we start that. And if you want to talk about that more, you have an interest, definitely feel free to reach out to us. We're atrium.ai, and I'm Dave at atrium.ai. So pretty easy email address to remember. All right, so that's kind of what I had to present. I'm going to turn it back over to Sharon. And then here in a second, I'll take any questions that the team might have. But Sharon, back to you.
Thank you, Dave. I think the work you guys are doing at Atrium and your, attitude towards customer experience is really cutting edge. So thank you for joining me today. We want to wrap up the session soon, so I just wanted to share with you some few AI assets that we think are important. And I saw some of you ask questions on the chat, so I hope that part will be able to answer some of them. The first thing that we wanted to share, since I explained about, the SalesCloud Einstein features, and then Dave took you through the AI for admins with Einstein Discovery, what are basically the differences between, SalesCloud Einstein, Einstein Discovery, and Prediction Builder? Because we know it is confusing. So again, our attitude towards that as a company in Salesforce is that we give you predictions for every business needs, and different business needs require different types of predictions. So with SalesCloud Einstein, the predictions are based on specific SalesCloud objects. We designed it purely for the sales use cases. Our models are automated. You just turn it on and you get a model. And we basically use the productivity piece And our, products, some of them are part of the Einstein Insights component, and some of them are in the opportunity page or the lead page. And with Einstein Forecasting, it's part of the collaborative forecasting. But this is a turnkey AI solution. Now, as Dave mentioned, when you want to use prediction for any types of data, this is where Einstein Discovery comes into place, but it requires customizations. So with Einstein Discovery, you can get smart data discovery, recommendation, and basically analyze whatever type of data you want, but the admin got to be involved. It requires monitoring the model. You don't just get a model and you can count on a data science team from the other side. It requires some type, of understanding within data analytics. And lastly, with Einstein Prediction Builder, you can get prediction for any Salesforce object. And it's really embedded inside all the workflows and Salesforce apps. It's more for, I would say it's a point-click builder for admins, but even for developers. And again, require customization and a data analyst to back it up. So all of the products basically give you prediction for different business needs. And it's really up to you to kind of understand your org and what are your business needs. What we also wanted to kind of let you take into consideration if you want to start using SalesCloud Einstein, because we feel that, if you can use a turnkey AI solution, why not using it? If you need customization, you need to bring data from, external sources, go and check out our more admins tools. But if you want to see if SalesCloud Einstein is right for you, we have two really great tools for you. So the first one is the Einstein Readiness Assessor. We really recommend admins to use that, because we built this tool exactly for the use case of, admins not sure. Are we standing in the SalesCloud Einstein features threshold? Can I integrate AI to my business capabilities? So with the Readiness Assessor, with just, one click and few minutes wait, you can get a detailed report to your email if you are an admin, or to the email of the admin of the company or the org. And we basically explain to you which SalesCloud Einstein features are relevant for you, which one you can turn on today. And for those you don't stand in the requirements, whether it's, threshold of data requirements or anything else, we will explain to you why. For example, if you want to enable Einstein forecasting, you go to the assessor, and if you use the standard amount field and you use standard fiscal year, and whether you use monthly or quarterly, you will be able to turn it on and you will get a detailed report that you can start using it. And as a general tool, where we feel sometimes maybe admins are struggling with trust, why do we need to integrate AI to our, business capabilities? Why not, working with the manual processes? We launched in Dreamforce our Sales AI Value Calculator. It's a really nice tool that basically helps you to estimate the business impact once you will integrate AI. So that report works, completely offline. We don't require anything from you to kind of, we don't require any snapshots of data or something like that. We just basically give you the calculator of understanding what will be the value of integrating AI. This is where, the market is going. And by integrating machine learning capabilities into your business orgs and needs, you will be able to deliver a more accurate forecast. You will be able also to remove barriers from your sales teams and reps, and everyone will be focused on the work of actually selling to customers, not, customizations and data maintenance. I also know some of you ask about trailheads. So we have SalesCloud Einstein trailhead, which is really, really cool. So if you want to go and check it out, you can just search for the SalesCloud Einstein trailhead. I actually contribute the content to some of the models there. You can learn, how to prioritize leads with Einstein, how to do rollout strategies, and many, many more. So again, my name is Sharon Karloveski, and I'm a product manager in Salesforce. I'm based in Tel Aviv. We have a great data science team here that is building Einstein predictive forecasting and 6 other Einstein products like lead scoring, opportunity scoring. So if you guys have any questions to me, feel free to reach out. And Dave Dixon from Atrium is also still with us. So if you guys have any questions for Dave, let us know. And thank you for tuning in, and thank you, Amit, for hosting us. It's a really great initiative of our MVPs.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you very much for having us.
Thank you, David. Thank you, Sharon. So guys, if you have any question, feel free to ask your question on the chat window so that we can answer them.
Yes, and maybe Dave, if you can later on share Trailblazer on Discovery, Trailhead on the Discovery model. I saw someone ask that on the chat. So maybe we can also send a link in the chat room or send it later to Amit so we can share it.
Send it with me so that I can add all those links on my blog post so that everyone will get a video, PPT and everything. So after this session, definitely I will be post the recording of this session and both the PPT on our ApexR website.
Yes, and I see that we have a question from Joanne about, can I have custom filters in Einstein or that need to be developed? Joanne, if you're referring to Einstein forecasting or Einstein for sales, the model that I've talked to you guys about, so we have the segmentation feature. I shared that on my demo, and I will share a link with Amit about the release documentation to kind of elaborate more, to elaborate more on that. But basically, we do let admins to do some customization to the models and to do field exclusions as well. And I'm not sure if you want to know that about Discovery. So if you do, please just write it on the chat.
Yeah, here I can just kind of jump in there too, Sharon. So obviously with Einstein Analytics and Discovery, you have full control over what records you include. So if you want to basically exclude record types from the model, which is actually quite common, or segment the records some other way, all easy to do in Einstein Discovery and Analytics.
Yeah, and Dave, I see that you have another question. Can we embed recommendations from Discovery to Einstein Analytics dashboard?
Yeah, so we can. So that was actually kind of in terms of the drivers or the explanatory variables that I was showing on the right. That was actually sort of a version of that, right? So it's telling you what is driving a score up or down. And so Einstein Discovery gives you those. And then if you want, you can do things like parse those, put them in their own data set, which is what we did, and use them to basically provide things that people should do to make an opportunity or more likely to close or lead more likely to convert, right? Additionally, you can combine the outputs of Einstein Discovery, the scores from the models, with next best action. And so to do things like recommended actions. So in that way, your recommended actions, which is more of sort of like a decision tree framework, they can become AI powered. So that's another way to tackle that as well.
Great. Dave, I think you have another question here. How often do you run the data sets?
Yeah, so for those of you that don't know, when you look at Einstein Analytics, all the data is stored in data sets. Although that's actually changing, you're going to have the ability to do things like direct query, Snowflake with this next release, with the spring release. But for the data that's stored in the data sets, when you run that, it's actually making a copy of the data out of Salesforce or from other systems that you're pulling the data in. We typically advise people you can do that hourly. There are some clients that are doing it up to every 15 minutes as well.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, so not real time, but near real time. And the reason that it makes a copy instead of just directly querying the data in Salesforce is because those data stores are optimized for high-speed slice and dice and for the ability to drill in and to look at your data. So you're trading a little data latency for a lot of performance on the back end, which I've seen some demos. I don't know if you guys saw these as well at Dreamforce. Billion row data sets, billion with a B. In terms of the performance of slicing, dicing, and drilling through those, it was nothing because of the optimization they've done on the Salesforce side. You don't even have to think about it for those giant data sets. But that's only achieved by copying the data and putting them in those high-speed stores.
Yeah. By the way, you guys can check out Dave's session in Dreamforce. He had a great session, and you can find the recording on the Dreamforce website.
Yeah.
Pearl, I see that you have a question about trailheads and blogs on how to implement Analytics Plus for forecasting. We will share with Amit few others materials because it's a lot to cover on that podcast, but we will share it with Amit, and you guys can check out Amit's blog post with all the assets that are relevant. I see that I have a question here about whether Einstein features support trend lines on my dashboards. So basically, Einstein forecasting, as I showed you in the demo, is giving you a way to view the predictive score on a table view or on a trend line view. So both, and it's basically up to the admin or the sales leader to decide which view he prefers. And yeah, that's it basically. So
yeah, I would add in on it within sort of Einstein Analytics. You can create timelines. That's a native functionality of Analytics.
right.
It's using Holt Winters sort of, which is sort of a exponentially smooth sort of running average type of thing. You can also in Discovery you can create predictions, linear predictions, right? Sort of what will the value of something be in a future state, which is another way you could achieve a timeline as well.
Yeah, that's actually a great capability. And I see that we have another question about, do all users needs the license? So for SalesCloud Einstein features, you need to, you buy the SalesCloud Einstein license, and then you need to enable it to the relevant users. For example, with forecasting, it's only for sales leaders. And I think, Dave, with Discovery, does all users needs the license or just the admin?
If you're going to consume the outputs of the model, then you need a license. Is another way to look at it. Yeah.
Okay, so it basically depends on the use case, and yeah, just we will share the recording on our YouTube channel.
Yes.
So stay tuned, and we will share